Genuine question. Recently, I have heard many men say that The Princess Bride is their favorite movie, which made me wonder what it is about this film that appeals to them. I don't quite understand it. Story 1. There's a fire swamp and Andre the Giant, swordplay, quicksand, torture, Columbo, deadly eels, and some impressive one-liners. Kind of has it all. And even Billy Crystal. Story 2, it's funny. The comedy is at the level of Mel Brooks, but also features moments where misfit heroes fight for love. Montoya was awesome, as he repeated his name multiple times, and there were many really good lines in that movie, like the rodents of unusual size. Story 3. Being appreciated for love and heroism is what all men want. Additionally, it is both hilarious and deeply quotable, and men enjoy quoting comedy. Story 4. Inigo Montoya. Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Inigo advances on Ruggin, but stumbles into the table with sudden pain. Ruggin attacks, but Inigo parries and rises to his feet again. Inigo Montoya. Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Ruggin attacks again. Inigo parries more fiercely, gaining strength. Inigo Montoya. Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Count Ruggin. Stop saying that. Ruggin attacks twice. Inigo avoids and wounds Ruggin in both shoulders, the same spots where Ruggin wounded Inigo. Inigo attacks, bellowing. Inigo Montoya. Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Inigo corners Count Ruggin, knocks his sword aside, and slashes his cheek, giving him a scar just like Inigo's. Inigo Montoya. Offer me money. Count Ruggin. Yes. Inigo Montoya. Power too. Promise me that. He slashes Ruggin's other cheek. Count Ruggin. All that I have and more. Please, Inigo Montoya. Offer me anything I ask for. Count Ruggin. Anything you want. Ruggin knocks Inigo's sword aside and lunges. But Inigo traps his arm and aims his sword at Ruggin's stomach. Inigo Montoya. I want my father back, you son of a woman. He runs Count Ruggin through and shoves him back against the table. Ruggin falls to the floor, dead. Story 5. A man conquers everything for the woman he loves, and she loves him in return. The novel critiques the superficiality of the relationship, but there is some solid truth beneath the surface. Story 6. It's a funny, witty, and highly literate satire. It features adventure, sword fights, monsters, and a strong female protagonist. It's incredibly quotable and rewatchable. What's not to like? Story 7. It's full of useful knowledge. Because of this movie, I know how to avoid the classic blunders. The most famous is to never get involved in a land war in Asia, but only slightly less well known is this: never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line. Story 8. Grandpa. Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles. Story 9. A timeless comedy with a narrative about how a woman who is true love for a lowly stable boy refuses the advances of a king to stay loyal to him. What's not to get? This is why I dislike The Princess Bride. It appeals to male fantasy. Story 10. It's from the generation where films were allowed to be silly for the sake of being silly, like Robin Hood Men in Tights, another great film, by the way. The modern-day equivalent would be films like The Other Guys and The Nice Guys. Story 11. I'm not a guy, but I will say that after watching this movie with a male friend and both of us quoting it and laughing about how well we knew it, I fell in love with him. The conversation afterward also played a role, but our shared knowledge of the dialogue made me realize we were going to be a good fit. Story 12. I went to see a screening of The Princess Bride with a live orchestra and foolishly assumed the men in my life wouldn't want to come, so I took a female friend. My boyfriend dislikes concerts, my brother lives in a different city, and my father prefers fishing and comedy movies. All three of them were miffed and disappointed that I didn't invite them. My friends' teenage sons, who usually enjoy superhero movies and gaming, were also displeased. I don't know why they love it, but they do. If they hold another screening, we promise to take the men with us so they can keep us company. Story 13. What do you mean you don't quite see it? Have you seen it? It is such a good movie, full of adventure, intrigue, and romance, with plot twists and surprises that pit good against evil. True love. I mean, come on. Have you actually seen the movie? Watch it. It is one of the greatest films ever made, entirely a classic. It's a wonderful movie. Every time I hear, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die," I get shivers down my spine and tears in my eyes. It's a brilliant movie. Story 14. It is charming and enjoyable. While not for everyone, it is very self-aware and referential. Overall, it provides a generally appealing experience. I believe it is one of those films that is enjoyable for both men and women who grew up with it. Many straight men likely view it as something comfortable to watch with their partners, creating additional positive memories as adults. Story 15. The love is real and uncomplicated. There is none of that "what if I didn't need saving" nonsense when the writers feel the need to artificially inject drama. The fight scenes are genuinely good. The one-liners are clever and quotable. There are no cheap gimmicks. It is simply a thoughtful, well-done story about love and heroism. Story 16. It's extremely romantic in a warm, masculine way. Much of the movie is a variation of a man loving someone. From the grandfather and the child to Wesley and Buttercup, to Inigo Montoya and his father, there are many good vibes throughout the film. Then there are the exciting elements. It's just really cool. Dread pirates? Sword fights between honorable duelists? Cool. I don't know, but the romance and the comedy are what stand out to me. Story 17. Therapist Cinema created a video discussing some of the appeal for boys. I found their perspective interesting. Story 18. I think it generally depends on when someone sees the movie for the first time. Everyone I've introduced to the movie, who were already adults, did not seem to appreciate the joy and whimsy of it. However, anyone who watched it as a teenager or younger tends to enjoy it greatly. I believe men are more inclined to retain a sense of childlike wonder even into adulthood, which allows them to still find joy in it when introduced to it later in life. Story 19. Sorry to answer a question with a question, but who doesn't like this movie, and who hurt them? Story 20. The book is great, but so is the movie. It's funny, lighthearted, quotable, and romantic. I grew up with it, and many others did too. It's nostalgic, and I rewatched it the other day. It's still great. Story 21. If you don't say this at least once a year, are you a man? Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. The line that gets me chuckling is, you fell victim to one of the classic blunders, the most famous of which is, never get involved in a land war in Asia. But only slightly less well known is this, never go against a Sicilian when death is on the line. It's not just The Princess Bride. Any true comedy connoisseur will also madly quote Airplane, The Naked Gun, or the truly most underrated comedy of all time, Top Secret. Story 22. I wouldn't say it's my favorite movie, but it's definitely one of the top contenders. It is simply a very funny and quotable film. The premise is straightforward, the backstory is clear, and the story is both interesting and well-paced. The writing and acting are good. There are no weaknesses in it. It is a highly entertaining movie. Story 23. There's sword fighting, comedy, action, adventure, an attractive woman, an attractive man, and pirates. What's not to like? Story 24. It has a little of everything. Great sword fights, amazing dialogue with memorable one-liners, cool monsters, revenge, and romance where the man is not incompetent and does not die. It also explores themes of friendship and honor. Story 25. It literally tells you in the opening, are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles. Story 26. Pure unadulterated fun. Action, comedy, and a touch of romance that isn't too sentimental. There's a lot to love about this movie. Story 27. The real question is, how old are you? I am 33 and remember watching this movie as a child. The Princess Bride is not my favorite movie, but it is definitely on my all-time favorites list. Story 28. I believe it reflects the traits of manliness that we recognize in ourselves. Humor, honor, bravery, ingenuity, resourcefulness, skill, wit, and guile, to name a few. It represents men with whom we can all identify. Story 29, because it has everything. It has sports, it has fighting, it has rousing moments, and a pit of despair. If you can get past the kissing parts. Story 30. This is a movie that is often quoted, and 9 out of 10 times the quote goes right over everyone's head. This is one of those movies where if you know, try this. Next time you see a peanut, pick it up and, using a very deep voice, slowly say, "Does anybody want a peanut?" I think you'll be shocked at the number of people who get the reference. Also, if you have a peanut allergy, do not touch the peanut. You can point to the peanut and it will still have the same joke quality. Please don't touch the peanut if you are allergic. Story 31. It's a solid show with many quotable scenes, a decent romance, attractive leads, and a well-written script featuring good actors. Story 32. It's a great feel-good movie. The protagonist gets the girl. Action, romance, drama, and comedy. What's not to like? It's worth watching just for the sword fight scene and Inigo's revenge. I want my father back. You son of a b**********. That line chokes me up every time. Story 33. Because there is nothing to complain about. It is just a fun movie and is not trying to be anything it does not need to be. Story 34. It's funny. It has action and good storytelling. From a cinematic viewpoint, it has everything needed for a great story and more. I'm comfortable saying it's one of my top movies of all time. I also got to meet Carrie Elwes and Wallace Shawn at MegaCon back in February, and they are both amazing people, but that's off topic. Story 35. Rob Reiner has an incredible run of directing 6 very good to great classic movies from 1984 to 1992. How many other directors have produced 6 movies of this caliber in an 8-year period? 1984, This is Spinal Tap. 1986, Stand By Me. 1987, The Princess Bride. 1989, When Harry Met Sally. 1990, Misery. 1992, A Few Good Men. Story 36. It's not just men. I didn't know it existed until my wife introduced it to me. It fails to take itself seriously, which is refreshing, and there are many talented actors in it. You mean you'll put down your rock and I'll put down my sword, and we'll try to kill each other like civilized people? Story 37. It's gender-specific? It's just a fun and engaging adventure movie from a time when practical effects were used. We don't get enough of these. Story 38. Because it's a good movie. Most movies marketed at men are just examples of performative masculinity. They feature explosions and strong male characters in military gear, because that's what men want, right? At this point, they're not even good action movies. It feels like they have to meet a quota of explosions and fights or they won't get released. The Princess Bride has heroism in its purest form, men doing their best to help those they love, witty comedy, and fighting that doesn't pretend to be realistic while still being entertaining, which is often mishandled by most movies. Story 39, mainly because it is so quotable. It is a good story that is entirely a running joke. Edit. You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. Story 40. Many people are discussing Inigo Montoya, dad jokes, and true love. However, what truly elevates this story is the grandfather-grandson dynamic. At its core, it's a simple family narrative. The grandfather shares wisdom, has humorous moments, and helps his sick grandson feel better. I've heard from many men who say he reminds them of their own grandfathers. I believe men are drawn to this movie because they desire that kind of genuine family bond. Story 41. It is a light-hearted adventure with lovable characters and an overall feeling of positivity and optimism. It resembles a summer sunrise in cinematic form. Story 42. 'Cause deep down inside, every guy, even if they don't admit it, wanted to be someone's knight in shining armor or to save the damsel in distress. However, time, lack of loyalty and trust, and encountering wicked witches have jaded us, leaving us bitter. Additionally, it features some of the best dad jokes and one-liners outside of Monty Python. Story 43, For Two Reasons. It became trendy and popular among nerds or those pretending to be nerdy. It may or may not be their favorite movie. It is a genuinely funny film with many silly jokes and characters we would like to be. We could also mention that it is a childhood movie for many people in their 30s or early 40s. Story 44. I don't understand what movies people are supposed to like. It has action, adventure, and comedy, featuring probably the coolest sword fight in cinema, along with some of the most memorable lines. I think the only thing that could turn people off is the title. It's called The Princess Bride? It must be a feminine movie. Story 45. I can't speak for others, just for myself. I like fantasy and it's a funny movie. That being said, I can't wait for the question and answer screening with Carrie Elwes next month. Story 46. I honestly never connected with it that much. It is very clever and enjoyable, but I don't consider it as great as some people do. Story 47. Because it is the single greatest movie ever made. You can watch it anytime with anyone. If someone does not like it, you can cut them out of your life because you do not need that kind of person in your life. Story 48. It is a very funny parody. It is a well put together story. It is a well executed movie. Wesley, played by Carrie Elwes, is charming, witty, and talented, and I aspire to be like him. Story 49. I am a fan of classic stories featuring a clever hero who defeats an evil lord in the name of true love. Add some humor, triumphant revenge, and excellent choreography, and you have a fantastic film. Story 50. I just crawled out of the pit of despair. Life is looking good again. As a single father, I recently watched it with my daughter and son, and they absolutely loved it. We are creating memories together. Story 51. It's an enjoyable movie that offers a fun take on fairy tales, but for me, the overall theme of fighting for those you love stood out. It explores true love, friendship, companionship, and family ties without being preachy or too obvious. It feels authentic. In a way, we all desire to live in a world where we can do things for our loved ones. I believe it's a goal worth striving for, reflecting a very human emotion. The movie sends the message that your feelings are valid, showcasing characters who are all pursuing the same aspirations in their own unique ways. Story 52, because like all good parody, it actually loves the things it is parodying. Even as the characters openly acknowledge the ridiculous nature of the sword fighting, they still went to great lengths to showcase some of the best swordplay ever. Story 53. Sounds like a very local thing. Do you think men in India, Finland, and Kenya like the movie so much? Story 54. Well, what doesn't that movie have? An impressive hero, a guy avenging his father's death, a beautiful damsel in distress, a frame story that takes you back to staying home from school, sword fighting, action, comedy, and Andre the Giant. Checks all the boxes. Story 55. It's a very funny movie with an all-star cast. While it's very much an 80s movie, the jokes are timeless. Somewhere, there exists a reel of Billy Crystal, fully in character as Miracle Max, improvising 2.5 hours of a set so blue it has never been and will never be released. I think we could use something like that right now with the world being a bit grim at the moment. So if you work in a film storage vault at a major motion picture studio, do the world a favor. Story 56. I am not a man, but this has long been my favorite movie. Every time I watch it, all is well again in my world. Story 57. I am a woman, and I love the movie. It is funny, a love story, and I appreciate the characters. I enjoy how everyone is real and honest, with no superficial elements. I especially love how the grandfather tells the story. Story 58. I first saw it in my late 40s. It's my wife's favorite film. I found it perfectly acceptable, funny in parts, but overall not great. Story 59. Do you not? It's a great movie. It has pirates, romance, danger, comedy, tragedy, and dialogue that is infinitely quotable. Not to mention, everyone is attractive. Story 60. Because men are allowed to like what they enjoy, the presence of princess in the title should not dictate their preferences. Story 61. That is an interesting question. I am older, and a male friend of mine who is well-versed in film studies loves this movie. To me, it was bland and silly. Story 62. I believe people find it unusual because they see it as a fantasy romance story, and men are not the primary demographic for that genre. However, the reality is that it is not a romance story. It is a swashbuckling action-adventure comedy, similar to a blend of Robin Hood and Zorro with a touch of Mel Brooks. Both the movie and the book it is based on distinctly feel as though they were written for a male audience. Story 63. The sheer number of snappy one-liners would lead one to think they filmed the movie in the 1950s in the Catskills. Story 64. A classic good guy saves the princess story with excellent music and clean humor. The narrator is Columbo. Story 65. Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, and miracles. Story 66. It has everything. Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love. This is not a kissing book, and miracles. Being kidnapped by pirates is good. Story 67. It is the perfect movie. It has a little bit of everything, so almost everyone can find a part that is funny to them. Story 68. There is a shortage of perfect breasts in this world. It would be a pity to damage yours. You warthog-faced buffoon. Have fun storming the castle. Never get involved in a land war in Asia. Inconceivable. I mean, come on, what's not to like? Story 69. It's genuinely funny, sweet, fun, and exciting. Very well written by William Goldman, acted by a great cast, and directed by Rob Reiner. I would call it a great movie. What's not to love? And why wouldn't women like it too? Story 70. Most of them remember watching it as young children. Put yourself in that state of mind and you'll understand. It's the same reason they enjoy Star Wars. Story 71. I remember a man following a large crowd after a show at a music festival, yelling, "Everybody move!" If you don't know what I'm referencing, that was from The Princess Bride. He was wearing a large homemade hat made from boxes that hold cases of beer. Story 72. I believe the only reason I know about this movie is because it features Andre the Giant. This is the only reason I hear about it from other men. Story 73. I don't think liking The Princess Bride is a male-oriented preference. It's just a really good and enjoyable movie. Story 74. I have never seen it, but old movies are not funny to me. I have no intention of watching it because I do not think it will be funny. Story 75. Because it has great dialogue like, "Kill me quickly. I would sooner destroy a stained glass window." Story 76. It has dastardly plots, kidnapping, sword fights, giants, unusually large rodents, fire swamps, heroes, villains, torture, miracles, and comedy. How can you not enjoy something so versatile? Story 77. I didn't know it was a popular choice. To be honest, it's my favorite movie because it's a classic story. It's funny, and my dad showed it to me for the first time when I was homesick from school. We watched it together. Story 78. You should see the COVID version they created. It's on YouTube. Everyone in it joined because they love the movie so much. Story 79. Like the movie itself says, it has something for everyone and is good, wholesome fun the whole way through. Plus, when it came out, societal standards required many of us to hide enjoying things like this, but nowadays we aren't. Story 80. It is a genuinely funny and entertaining movie full of memorable quotes. It doesn't matter what your gender is. Story 81. I don't understand the obsession either. I watched it and thought it was okay. It was solid, but not a top movie of all time. Story 82. Why? For starters, there is no unnecessary content in it. It doesn't preach. It is a classic tale of overcoming great challenges. There are sword fights, revenge, magic, and giants. Take the movie The Hobbit. The three films were excessively long and filled with unnecessary over-the-top action scenes, which made them boring. The action in The Princess Bride enhances the dialogue and nothing more. It combines comedy, action, and romance into a fun, entertaining movie. It is my favorite film. Story 83. Men have different subconscious archetypal structures than women. You can never understand why men like The Princess Bride any more than I can understand why you like Twilight so much. Men respond to stories that follow the hero's journey. Women respond to Beauty and the Beast. If you look at the most popular books and movies for women, they are all variations on Beauty and the Beast. Story 84. It's funny and adventurous. The acting is excellent all around, and the set pieces are fantastic. It conveys a good message about commitment, cooperation, and respect for others, even when they are your enemy. Story 85. It's a movie that people often recommend. My parents and older brothers repeatedly told me I need to like The Princess Bride. I find it to be a terrible film. Story 86. I'm a person and I disliked the movie. I watched it in middle school for class. It had unfunny humor and cliched scenes. Story 87. I had never heard of it until I met my wife. She has made me watch it twice now, and I really dislike it. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.